This is a CBS7 First Alert Weather Day. Now, an update from the First Alert Weather Center.
All right, we are joined now here for CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW. I'm Jay Hendricks filling in tonight. And thanks for joining us, by the way, if you're on our CBS7 YouTube page. Chief Meteorologist Tom Teever-Teller also with me. Tom, it's been a hot day today. In fact, this was a First Alert Weather Day because temperatures were so hot. Will that continue tomorrow, too?
Yes, we're going to see temperatures above 105 degrees, so that's kind of the level where we want to bring attention to the heat. Here's what we saw today in the way of high temperatures. Topped out at 106 out of the Miller National Air and Spaceport. A couple of 107s, Odessa, Big Spring. Then we get to the really hot stuff. 110 in Pecos, 111 in Cayenosa, and 113 down at Rio Grande Village this afternoon. But also, look at these temperatures. They were up to 101 in Fort Davis and Alpine, and more of that is on the way. So the excessive heat, 105 plus coming up tomorrow afternoon. And then for the Trans-Pecos Permian Basin, 104 to 110 is the temperature range. That's why this heat advisory remains in effect towards tomorrow. Again, looking at Big Bend at sunset, beautiful conditions there today. Just a little hot, especially in those lower elevations, and back over towards Odessa. We are looking at a quiet evening right now as temperatures out there, well, they are still on the hot side, still looking at triple digits. Jow, Monahans, Pecos up to 103 still, 105 down towards Terlingua, and 101 there in the Presidio area. So trying to cool off a little bit and still dealing with some breeze, but it feels rather warm out there across the area. And it looks like that's going to continue. Look at these high temperatures tomorrow. Again, 105 plus, eclipsing 110 in a few locations for your Wednesday. But the weekend, though, may be a little bit different story when it comes to the heat.
We're not the only ones feeling the heat. Excessive heat is gripping much of the country this week and straining California's power grid. Meanwhile, Phoenix, Arizona is setting a new record today. That's where we find KPHO meteorologist Ian Schwartz.
Princess there, 92 degrees, and that's one of our cooler readings.
Arizona woke up hot and headed straight for another record breaker. Now 19 consecutive days and counting above 110 degrees.
Read them and weep, people. More of the weeping going on for sure.
That heat can pose serious dangers for the vulnerable, like those without housing.
Some ice cold water, a hat, some sunscreen, anything like that is a lifeline for people in need.
Arizona's power grid is holding its own, but Californians are urged to conserve and keep that thermostat at 78 degrees to avoid potential blackout.
When you've got really hot temperatures that don't cool down at night, that can be really taxing on the electrical equipment.
When the nighttime temperatures don't cool down and things stay hotter longer, people also stay hotter longer.
Julie Tartan is leading the effort to build the National Integrated Heat Health Information System and says summers like this one could be here to stay.
The reality is we are expecting every part of the United States and most parts of the world to have increased heat waves, increased heat events.
Basketball legend Shaquille O'Neal cooled off in Hawaii, but it's the calm before the storm. As Tropical Storm Calvin approaches, residents are advised to be prepared.
Make sure they have their go kits, their safety kits for their homes, whether that be lights and water and things like that.
Good advice to be ready for any kind of weather. Ian Schwartz, CBS News, Phoenix, Arizona.
Another thing that was heated was the Ector County meeting tonight, the town hall meeting that was held to discuss making West Odessa its own city. The Westside Sheriff's Annex was packed with West Odessans who showed up to voice their mixed opinions and listen to what county and city officials had to say. Now, most residents at the town hall were against the idea of making West Odessa its own city. Judge Dustin Fawcett spoke about issues West Odessa faces in Ector County, including budget limitations, EMS services, and more. The main concern for residents was where their money is going and why they don't have adequate roads and EMS personnel.
And you coming from the city trying to tell me how to run my part, it's not going to happen.
Sir, I'm not trying to tell you.
You are trying to tell me. You're trying to tell us that we need to be a city and we don't need to have our own life.
Now, tonight was just a discussion. Mayor Javier Hoven, County Commissioner Mike Gardner, and volunteer fire, police, and sheriff's personnel were also all in attendance. If anything, many residents noted this is one of the first times so many officials had showed up to speak with them. We, of course, will continue to follow this story and we'll have more on it coming up tonight on CBS 7 News at 10. Midland's new city manager was introduced to the media today at City Hall. Mayor Lori Blong and the rest of the city council supported the new city manager as he outlined his plans for Midland. Tommy Gonzalez was hired with a unanimous vote by the city council on July 11th, and his first day on the job will be July 31st. Gonzalez was the city manager of El Paso until his contract was terminated back in February. He says he's excited about the people he has around him in his new role, and he's ready to get started.
I'm very thankful to the council. I feel very fortunate that to get support from them. I'm going to in turn give all the support, all my dedication, and all the hard work back to them and to the people of Midland and to our organization in particular.
Another reason Gonzalez is happy to be in Midland is being close to the rest of his family. His two sons attend Texas Tech, and he is now close to his mother and his late father. Midland ISD is preparing for the new school year with its first Leadership Summit. Staff talked about how the school district is preparing for student success and how they are bringing better security to school campus. Dr. Stephanie Howard is entering her first official school year as the new superintendent of Midland ISD, and she has big plans for the district. Last year, students met and exceeded the expectations in the classroom and on the standardized test. This year, Dr. Howard is raising the bar even more for students.
When we have strong and effective classroom or building principles, those building principles establish a culture and climate where teachers want to teach and students enjoy learning and thrive and flourish in those settings.
One of her goals is to get every student motivated and prepared for the future once they graduate. MISD also had a session today to speak with parents on how they are improving their security on school campus. Midland Police Department announced their new plans to protect the school district.
Mandated that now every campus has an armed, some kind of security personnel, and so we're going to be working in conjunction with MISD Police Department and Chief Ortiz to accomplish that goal until they can get up to staffing and be able to accommodate all 39 campuses. But until then, we're going to be working closely with our MISD PD counterparts in order to ensure the safety of our kids.
This week, ECISD will have a 3-day leadership summit with district leaders and prepare them for the new school year. New projects are coming to Ector and Midland County libraries after receiving funding from the state. In fact, the grant is part of a special projects program that helps fund projects for libraries across Texas. Both Ector and Midland County will receive over $70,000 to use toward each facility. The Midland County Library says that it will use the funding toward a mobile skills lab to teach trade skills to residents that are interested in that field without having to take classes.
We're looking at an online service called Interplay Learning, which is an augmented / virtual way of learning these trade skills. We're also going to look into purchasing some tablets so that we have that augmented experience in a classroom.
This would allow people to learn these skills without having to get certified or go to school for it. While Midland County focuses on that, Ector County plans to use the money toward outreach.
It allows these smaller communities to have some of the same services as long as they were here in person, to sort of get a taste of the Ector County Library.
Both libraries say projects have been in the works since last year, and they plan to open them to the public before the end of the year. A 12-year-old Yorkie was reunited with her owner after months of searching. Pumpkin disappeared about 3 months ago. On Friday, a couple found her running alongside County Road 150. This 10-pound dog was covered in fleas, dehydrated, and matted, but still alive. The odds weren't on her side. She's hard of hearing and has poor vision. Lori Carson says she never gave up on Pumpkin and made hundreds of posts on Nextdoor and Facebook and even hung up flyers around Midland. But holding out hope was hard.
Just that morning, I was at a low. It was almost the 3-month marker. And it started to get to me, and I started to think, I need to move on. I need to let go.
Pumpkin was found later that day. Carson says she suspects Pumpkin was taken or at least taken care of for some period of time over the last 3 months. Powerball players are anticipating Wednesday's drawing. The jackpot climbed again to an estimated $1 billion after no winning tickets matched all of Monday's numbers. The jackpot would be the 7th highest in U.S. history and the 3rd largest for Powerball. But keep in mind the game's odds are about 1 in 292 million. In addition to Powerball, the jackpot for Tuesday night's Mega Millions drawing is worth an estimated $640 million. Yesterday, CBS7 spoke to a West Texan about what they would do if they were the lucky winner.
Every nonprofit and church and ministry organization that I'm affiliated with would be fully funded for as long as we can make it last.
Powerball players have a chance at $1 billion paid out yearly increments or more than $516 million one-time lump sum payout before taxes. Now for a look at today's top headlines shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all of these stories and more by downloading our CBS7 News app or visiting our website at CBS7.com. Still ahead, a pretrial hearing was held today in former President Donald Trump's classified documents case. The details of that hearing coming up next here on CBS7 News at 9 on the CW. Former President Donald Trump says he's the target of another federal investigation, this time for the 2020 election interference. CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides reports from Port Pierce, Florida, where pretrial hearings began in a separate classified documents case against the former president.
Former President Donald Trump revealed he is a target of a Justice Department investigation into efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. On his social media platform, Trump said he received the so-called target letter Sunday night. He called special counsel Jack Smith deranged and said he has 4 days to report to the grand jury.
The special counsel would not have sent a target letter and would not be apparently poised to actually bring a prosecution against former President Trump if he didn't think he had a winning hand.
Tuesday night, Trump made a campaign stop in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
If you say something about an election, they want to put you in jail for the rest of your life. It's a disgrace.
Earlier, top congressional Republicans came to the former president's defense.
President Trump went up in the polls and was actually surpassing President Biden for re-election. So what do they do now? Weaponize government to go after their #1 opponent.
Meanwhile, the first pretrial hearing was held in connection with a separate federal case focusing on the former president's handling of classified documents.
Here in Fort Pierce, Florida, U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon deferred a decision on setting a date for Trump and his valet, Walt Nauta, on the classified documents case.
The judge dismissed Trump lawyers' concerns about seating a fair and impartial jury during a presidential campaign. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Fort Pierce, Florida.
Former President Trump called House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to discuss how to defend him in the light of the target letter from the DOJ. That's according to a GOP source directly familiar with the call.
Well, we saw another blistering hot day across West Texas, another one in the forecast. We're going to talk about all that coming up.
This is a CBS7 First Alert Weather Day. Now, an update from Chief Meteorologist Tom Tieferteller.
Well, we are looking at wrapping up, I should say, another extremely hot day across the area. Another one on the way, kind of like this, as the hottest temperatures we saw were around Pecos, Cayenosa, 110, 111 there. And of course, Rio Grande Village was up to 113, also 110 down towards the Terlingua area a little bit earlier today. We're cooling off some. Still rather warm this evening out there as we're still into the upper 90s here at 9 o'clock. Triple digits, Monahans, Pecos, Terlingua, and Presidio. It's these mountain areas where we saw triple digits earlier today. They're not cooling off too much either. Usually that's the nice place to be when we're dealing with this incredible heat. Southeast winds up to 25 miles an hour in Fort Stockton. Things should start to calm down a little bit into the overnight hours, but we're still under the influence of a big ridge of high pressure. Lots of sinking air associated with it, and with that we have the air moving down, compressional heating, and that's why we see these temperatures warm up quite a bit. Now, there are some ripples in the jet stream, which is well off to our north, but it looks like this is going to dig out a trough across the eastern U.S. as this storm system moves across, and it may be enough to develop those thunderstorms in the mountain areas of Colorado and New Mexico and try to sweep a cool front into the area coming up for the weekend. It won't be a big deal, but it may get us out of triple digits. Right now across the state, not much happening out there other than a lot of heat today. Most everybody was in triple digit territory. Corpus Christi, 101 degrees. Heat index values are what it felt like were up to 122. When you add in the humidity, it was up to 116 in Houston and around 118 down towards the Brownsville area. So most of the state broiling in the heat again this afternoon, and we're not going to see much help from any cloud cover or rain. Looks like some isolated thunderstorms may form up tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours across the mountains of New Mexico, but mainly affecting the Texas Panhandle, if anything out there, as we're not going to see too much out of that. So more heat. Excessive heat warnings remain in effect from the Big Bend north into the Davis Mountains, the Barfa Plateau, and the Guadalupes and southeast of Mexico for temperatures ranging well above 100 up to 113 in those lower elevations of Big Bend National Park. And outside of that, heat advisories remain in effect for temperatures 105 plus coming up tomorrow. So for tonight, cooling off a little bit, but still rather mild. Only the upper 70s in the forecast, it looks like, and then back into those triple digits. 105 plus, many locations, 110 plus, Pecos, Presidio, Cayenosa, down in the lower elevations of the Big Bend. As we're going to see temperatures, though, start to decrease a little bit as high pressure kind of slips away off to the west a little bit more. And then there's that weak front trying to affect us coming up late Friday into Saturday. We may break the streak, which sits at 9 of 100 plus days in a row at 96 coming up on Saturday, but then back to the triple digits after that, and really not banking on any rain anytime soon.
Still ahead, Hollywood actors and writers continue their historic double strike, even though high heat in Southern California is causing some problems. The latest on the Hollywood strike when we come back. Actors and writers back on the picket line as they fight for new contracts. There is still a deep divide over pay, health benefits, and the use of AI. KCAL's Tina Patel shows us what it might take to get a deal.
Another busy day outside the studios. You can see all the writers and actors that are here outside Warner Brothers. Some of the writers have been picketing for more than a couple months now, but they tell us they will be out here as long as it takes to get a fair contract. Some industry experts say the dual strike will likely go into the fall. Others worry it could stretch into next year. At issue are things like pay and residuals, as well as protections against the use of artificial intelligence. The Alliance for Motion Picture and Television Producers say they did offer a fair deal, and the unions are mischaracterizing negotiations. They released a statement yesterday that reads in part, the deal that SAG-AFTRA walked away from on July 12th was worth more than $1 billion in wage increases, pension and health contributions, and residual increases, and includes protections over its 3-year term, including expressly with respect to AI. We asked one actor what she thinks about that statement.
I believe in capitalism. I'm not against capitalism, but there has to be capitalism with guardrails. And I don't think that this fight is actually about SAG specifically. I think it's about these companies trying to prevent every person who stocks a shelf, who drives a truck, who programs an algorithm from organizing.
A number of people say they are fighting for labor in general with this fight. But when it comes to SAG-AFTRA, according to Variety, they had a Zoom meeting yesterday with about 700 members, and they say they are fighting for the survival of acting as a profession. No new talks between the two sides are scheduled as of now. In Burbank, Tina Patel, KCAL News.
Striking writers and actors cut their picket short this week because of the punishing heat. Still ahead, imagine going on a vacation, all of a sudden you're playing in the pool with none other than Shaq. That was a reality for some kids in Hawaii today. We have the funny story up next. All right, well, it's not unexpected for kids to make a new friend at the pool on vacation, but it might be unusual that their new playmate is NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. There you see him right there. These kids were in Hawaii, spotted on video having fun rescuing the 300-pound basketball star while he played and pretended to flail in the water. Told him, if you saw it the first, I need your help, I'm drowning. So they're all heading, and of course O'Neal can be heard saying, help, I'm drowning, and look at him. They're carrying him to the other side, just got him all up there. Imagine going on vacation, all of a sudden he shows up in the pool with you. I mean,
that would add to the vacation.
Wouldn't
quite
it though?
A bit,
I mean,
just to
most
see
kids
him in
may
person.
not know who he is. Most did. They were calling his name. Just shows he's a big kid at heart, and he just was having a
And
feeling.
he's a big guy. If you've never seen him in person,
There he is.
I
Stands
have
up.
one time. Oh, my Lord. Okay. He was something.
He's tall, but again, he entertained the kids and they had a great time. And parents, of course, were probably loving every minute.
Oh, yeah. Something
Taking
else
pictures,
there.
everything else.
Good-natured guy there. Well, as we take a look at our weather forecast, I don't think the pool's the place to be. Hawaii would even be better when you're dealing with heat like this. But unfortunately, we got to deal with it in West Texas. 107 tomorrow across the Midland, Odessa area. But things trying to cool off just a hint. Maybe out of the triple digits this weekend.
Look at that, by 96 on Saturday. Thanks for watching CBS 7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW. We have more news coming up tonight at 10.